Hi, I'm Jack Draper. Shout out to QualityShot Tennis.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's WTA draw preview and prediction video for Indian Wells 2023. We have a star-studded, jam-packed lineup, as you can imagine, for the quote-unquote fifth Grand Slam. And on top of that, we do have pretty much a fully fit lineup as well, which is great because on the men's side, there's some people that are unavailable or not able to play or injured. Nadal and Djokovic being two good examples on the men's side. On the women's side, though, everyone, all the top players really are here, and it's going to be an incredible tournament. Genuinely so open, but in a good competitive way. Before we get into it, though, remember to that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and of course, if you're listening on a podcast platform, do leave a rating or review. It really does help us out. Thank you to all our members who have also contributed to the channel. Really appreciate it. You can also do so on podcast platforms. But yeah, thank you so much for your support. It really is appreciated. Okay, let's get into this then. So Iga Swiatek is the number one seed, and it's fair to say that a few weeks ago she would have been the overwhelming favorite. I think the conditions being a kind of slower hard court than maybe she has played in the last month or so could be a helpful factor to her. But on top of that, I think if we look at it, you could say, well, that in terms of the actual tournament and the competition, well, Krejcikova beat Swiatek in the final a couple of weeks ago, which was really, really impressive in the final after beating Ostrava. She's the only player to kind of beat her back-to-back in finals. On top of that, though, I have to say that Sabalenka, after winning the Australian Open, she lost in the semi-finals to Krejcikova in a tight one. There's three off the bat top contenders: Swiatek, Krejcikova, and Sabalenka. Those are the three that I think we have to look out for, and I would be very surprised if someone outside of those three players wins, just because I think they've been playing some really good tennis. There are other players that, of course, are going to be very dangerous, but those are three, in my opinion, who I think, if you were to pick favourites, those would be the three. Right, let's get into the actual draw then. So Swiatek has a bye. Claire Liu plays Alison van Uytvanck, so we'll go for Claire Liu. Peyton Stearns will play a qualifier by the looks of it, so we'll go for her. Andreescu has a bye. She's 32 seed, so just sneaks in. Lynette has a bye. Raducanu has Kovinic, who she's played in the past and has had trouble with her. I'll go for Raducanu to get through it, though. Siniakova versus Niemia, we're going to go for Siniakova. Haddad Meyer has a bye. Samsonova has a bye as well. Pera and Bronzetti will go for Pera. We'll go for Kirsty here as she plays a qualifier. Madison Keys has a bye, as does Leila Annie Fernandez. Navarro versus McNally, two wildcards from the US going at it. I'll go for McNally. Korpach Collins, that's a really good one. I think Collins will have too much firepower. We'll go for her. Garcia, Caroline Garcia, that is, has a bye, as does Ons Jabeur. Great to see her back on court, of course, and hopefully brings some... We'll see what her form's like, but I'm hoping she has some good form coming back. Zanevska and Lauren Davis, we'll go for Lauren Davis. Vondrousova versus Marino. Rebecca Marino from Canada will go for Vondrousova. I think she has too much experience. Buzkova has a bye. Trevisan has a bye as well. Madison Brengle plays the qualifiers. We'll go for Brengle. Putintseva, Mukova. I'm actually going to go for Mukova here. Azarenka has a bye, as does Rybakina, who, I didn't pick in my top three, but she's definitely in my top five. There's going to be a lot of people coming through that will be looking to cause a quote-unquote upset, but I'm not sure if her winning it would be one. Sloane Stephens and Sofia Kenin, so two players who have won Grand Slams, only that one Grand Slam though, and then have kind of gone missing a little bit after, haven't hit the heights that they would have expected themselves to after. And Sloane Stephens, of course, winning the US Open, Sofia Kenin, the Australian Open, both a few years back now. I think I'm going to go Sloane Stephens. She's been more consistent out of the two players in the last year or so. Parrizas Diaz versus Cotilleretto. We'll go for Parrizas Diaz. Badosa has a bye, as does Martic. Maria Paolini will go for. We'll go for Jasmine Paolini, sorry, even. Kasatkina has a bye, as a Sakari. Volyanets Rogers will go for Rogers. Sharif Linda Favitova will go for Favitova. Kalinina has a bye, as does Pliskova. Kalinskaya versus Alicia Parks. Alicia Parks, I'm really looking forward to seeing. I think she's a great talent after, of course, winning her first maiden WTA title. I think she's going to do a decent job here, so I'm going to go for her to win her first round match. Anne Lee and Blinkova, I'm going to go for Anne Lee. Kudermetova has a bye, as does Kvitova. Manlik and Risk Amritaj will go for Risk Amritaj. Sasnovich Kanepi. Kanepi hasn't been hitting the heights that maybe she has done in the last couple of years or last few years, where she's been, beating those giants early on. So I think I'm going to have to go for Sasnovich. Ostapenko has a bye, as does Potapova. Wong plays a qualifier, as does Georgie. Pegula has a bye, as does Coco Gauff. Both will be looking to win at home. The Americans, Noskova versus Camilla Begu. Go for Begu. Anisimova has a bye, as does Zhang. Kostyuk, fresh off winning a title in Austin last week. She'll play a qualifier, same with Teichmann. Bencic has a bye, as does Krejcikova. Fresh, of course, a couple of weeks ago now, winning against Swiatek in the final of the base. So, massive win for her. Yastremska Bonda will go Yastremska. Wang and Mertens will go Mertens. Alexandrova has a bye, as is Vekic, who is also fresh off winning a title last week, beating Caroline Garcia. Very good win by her. So herself and Kostyuk and Krejcikova are all coming off tournament wins. Zhu has a qualifier to play, and Cornet, I think, will beat Rodina. Sabalenka has a bye. Right, let's go to the second round matches. Swiatek, clearly will go Swiatek. Peyton Stearns, Andreescu. So Andreescu is someone who I was hoping was going to have a really good 2023 and finally start to find her groove again. She hasn't quite managed to do it yet. I'm still cautiously hopeful, so we'll see. Of course, we are a quarter into the year, so nearly a quarter into the year. So I'll go for Andreescu to beat Stearns here anyway. Lynette Raducanu, this is a really tough one for Raducanu. Lynette had a really good run, of course, at the Australian Open. She'll have a lot of confidence coming into this tournament and also matchup. I'm going to go Raducanu. Well, I don't know whether the court's quite... Actually, you know what? I'm going to go for Lynette. I think Raducanu, her game is more suited to the quicker surfaces, and I feel like this surface is probably more conducive to the type of style that Lynette has, which is more of a counter-punching style. Siniakova versus Haddad Mayer. We're going to go Haddad Mayer. Samsonova Perry will go Samsonova. Kirsty and Keys. Madison Keys. Fernandez beat McNally. Collins Garcia. I mean, this is a blockbuster matchup. I mean, we're going to see booming ground strokes, really attacking, returning winners left, right, and centre. I'm going to go Caroline Garcia. She's in some good form after making the final of the tournament last week, losing to Vekic in the final. She was disappointed, but I think she'll pick herself up and go again and do pretty decently at Indian Wells. Ons Jabeur beat Lauren Davis, so that could be a potential banana skin after a layoff for the Tunisian, and Lauren Davis is a home favourite. Vondrousova versus Buzkova will go Buzkova. Trevisan to beat Brengle. Azarenka to beat Mukova. Azarenka she just loves the hard courts. Rybakina Stevens. Rybakina is too good for Stevens right now in this current form. I think it's very tough to see any other result other than a Rybakina win. I just don't think that Stevens is going to be up for it. Paredes Diaz, Badosa will go Badosa. Although, again, Badosa has had injuries and hasn't really got much momentum going into this tournament, but class you would expect to shine through. Martic will play qualifier, will go for Martic. Paolini and Kasatkina. Kasatkina should win that, theoretically. Sakari Rogers, I'm going to go for Rogers. I think Rogers' style is pretty attacking. I think Sakkari can potentially have trouble with players like Rogers. She's also a player that tends to beat top players in these types of tournaments, and she's a bit of a giant killer. So I'll go for Rogers. Kvitova, Kalinina, we're going to go for Kvitova. Pliskova, Alicia Parks. I'm going to go for Alicia Parks. I think there might be a little bit of, let's say, next-gen bias, and I'm quite excited by a lot of these talents, but I am excited by her, and I think she is ready to start beating top players. So I'll go for Parks. Anli Kudermetova, go for Kudermetova. Kvitova, Risk, Amritaj will go for Kvitova. Sasnovich, Ostapenko. Although she's just the type of player that she could lose in the first round or she could win the tournament. She's just so random the way she plays sometimes. Potapova, Wang will go for Potapova. Georgie Pegula, so a really good matchup. Georgie's been in some really good form. Pegula, though, has been very consistent in these tournaments. Gauff to go through as well. Anisimova to beat Begu. Kostyuk to beat Zhang. That's a tough one, though, for her. Bencic, Teichmann, the battle of the Swiss players. Go for Bencic. Krejcikova to beat Russia. Krejcikova to beat Yastremska, the wild card. Alexandrova to beat Mertens. No, you know what? We're going to go for Mertens to beat Alexandrova. Vekic to beat Zhu. Sabalenka to beat Cornet. Now it's going to get really tasty. Swiatek, Andreescu. I mean, if Andreescu was playing good tennis, then I'd say she has a chance, but I don't think she will against Swiatek. Lynette, Haddad Mayer, we're going to go for. Trying to think about the matchup. The lefty of Haddad Mayer against the counter-punching righty of Lynette. Haddad Mayer is going to try and hit big. The courts aren't super quick. Can Lynette soak up that power and come out on top? I think so. Keys to beat Samsonova. Caroline Garcia to beat Fernandez. It's a tough one, though. That could be a really tight match. They tend to have very close matches from what I've seen recently. Fernandez could win, if I'm being honest, but I just think Caroline Garcia has been playing quite well recently. Jabeur Buzkova, that's a potential banana skin. I'm going to go for Buzkova. I just think that Jabeur is not... She's not going to be physically ready to make a deep run, in my opinion. Azarenka to beat Trevisan. Rybakina to beat Badosa. I think Badosa, again, similar to Jabeur, just a bit too early for her at the moment to really go deep. Martic and Kasatkina will go for Kasatkina, and for Kvitova to beat Rogers. Alicia Parks to beat Kudermetova. Kvitova to beat Ostapenko. Pegula to beat Potapova. Gauff and Anisimova. So the flip of a coin. I think Gauff has had more consistent results, but Anisimova is a real power player. She really is. Can beat anyone on her day. We'll go Gauff. Kostyuk, Bencic, really good matchup again here. I'm going to go for Kostyuk. Krejcikova, Mertens, Krejcikova. Kostyuk beating Bencic is probably a bit of recency bias, but look, you've got to pick someone. Vekic, Sabalenka. Now, I heard quite a few people on my men's draw preview and prediction video, or one person was saying they think Vekic could beat Sabalenka. Now, she's in really good form. I think she could cause some problems for Sabalenka, but I think Sabalenka should be too strong for her, given how she's playing at the moment. Swiatek, Magdalene, all Polish lineup and matchup. We'll go Swiatek. Keys, Garcia. I think Garcia should be able to beat her. Buzkova, Azarenka, we'll go Azarenka. Rybakina to beat Kasatkina. Kvitova, Parks. That's the battle of the next gen, that is. That really is. I think Kvitova, Pegula. I could see Kvitova beating Pegula. I really, really could. Is Pegula's backhand, does it hold up well against the forehand of Kvitova is the big question. I think it does. Gauff to beat Kostyuk, and this is a tough one for Sabalenka. The round of 16, she has a rematch against Krejcikova. And 2 of my 3 favourites I've got to meet in the round of 16. Krejcikova, fresh off a win in Dubai after beating Sabalenka in the semi-finals, a 3-setter. Sabalenka, though, will still be... I mean, she'll still be confident that she can beat her. She'll be wanting revenge. I'm just trying to think who will come out on top in these conditions. I mean, Sabalenka she bageled her in the first set. Lost the second set tiebreaker. Could have done it in straights. Then got breadsticked in the third set. I mean, you just couldn't write it. You really couldn't. I mean, the head-to-head is 2-1 to Sabalenka. They played in 2020 and at the US Open. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I'm going to go Sabalenka, just. I have a feeling the conditions, though, they could be a bit more suited to Krejcikova. Let's see. I've gone... honestly, I'm really... that's probably the most unsure I'm going to be throughout this whole video on a pick, because I just think Krejcikova, Sabalenka, toss a coin, and let's see who wins. That's literally how I feel about it. Swiatek, Garcia. The question is, can Garcia beat Swiatek? Now, Swiatek might have issues here because Garcia likes to attack the second serve, and Swiatek's second serve is pretty attackable, to be honest, even now. And she does like to stand very far in, though. Swiatek hits a kick serve for her second serve, and on this surface, I think she's going to get the pop that she desires. I'm wondering whether Garcia maybe steps a bit too far in on second serve and doesn't make as many returns as she'd like, trying to be aggressive. And then in the ground stroke exchanges, can Garcia slice and dice a little bit as well and make it awkward for Swiatek? Maybe. But I think I'm going to go Swiatek to beat her. Rybakina to beat Azarenka, I think. Again, that's a replay of the Australian Open. That would be semi-final, if I'm not mistaken, when Rybakina beat her. And I think she'd do the same. Pegula to beat Kvitova. Yeah, Sabalenka to beat Gauff. I think Gauff is a bit too early. I don't see her beating Sabalenka. Kvitova, could she beat Pegula? Yeah, maybe, but I think Pegula is probably too solid. And then I've got Rybakina to beat Swiatek. I still think Rybakina is not a good matchup and style for Swiatek. The only saving grace might be the conditions. I think Swiatek, it does close the gap a little bit. I have to be honest, because of the conditions, it does, in my opinion. The head-to-head's 1-1. Swiatek beat her, Strava in 2021. It's 2 years ago, though. It's not very recent. So we'll go Rybakina. Sabalenka Pegula is a really good one as well, to be honest. And if we get these semi-finals, I'll be very, very, very happy, in all honesty. So... right, so... the head-to-head... 4-1 Sabalenka. 1 on hard court. 1-1 on hard court, though. Okay, alright, okay. Sabalenka beat her at Fort Worth. She's won the last 4 matches. We'll go Sabalenka. Rybakina Sabalenka final. I'm going to go for Sabalenka to repeat her Australian Open heroics and win Indian Wells. Now, that could be a pretty brave choice. Really, I've now said that there's going to be 4 potential contenders, and that's Sabalenka, Rybakina, Swiatek, and Krejcikova. I think I'm going to go Sabalenka. I'm going to stick with it. Let me know your thoughts. Who have you picked and why? Let me know who you think is going to win. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And are you looking forward to it? And what matchup do you really want to see as well? Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you on the next video.